Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It is November 3rd, 2024, and Barcelona have claimed yet another victim in their path of destruction as Barcelona have defeated Espanyol 3-1 at Montjuic, taking home a victory in this Catalan derby. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Mo. This is the Barca News post-match live analysis where we analyze Barcelona matches when they end and where I also get to interact with you lovely people in the chat section by reading your comments, answering your questions, and getting the discussion going. This is not to be confused with the Barca News podcast, which are on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays where we discuss Barcelona news and where I also get to interact with you lovely people in the chat section. Having said all that, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. If you are looking to buy any Barcelona jerseys or merchandise, make sure to Kickback, Goal Kits, or Fanatics. And if you are looking to place any sports bets, make sure to bet us. All links are in the description. If you click on them, you will be helping this, you'll be supporting this channel, but you would also be getting access to some pretty cool discounts and offers. All right, let's dive right into the match analysis. I didn't do a watch along because last night I went out. I got home way too late. I only had 2 hours of sleep. So when I woke up to watch the match, I looked like absolute death. My eyes were red. I looked like crap. So I decided not to do a watch along. But I did watch the match. Even though I was struggling to stay up just because how tired I was, I did watch the match. Then I had to get something to eat. This is why I'm starting this bit late, but here we are. So let's do this. Let's talk about Barcelona's victory because Barcelona are now relentless, absolutely relentless, defeating Espanyol 3-1 in Montjuic, taking home a very important victory. And I say it's a very important victory, not just because we needed those 3 points, but also because I think we needed to send the message that we are still going. We are not taking our foot off the accelerator because after an important week where we defeated Real Madrid, where we defeated Bayern Munich, the 2 biggest tests back-to-back, it was very important to continue pushing through, to keep our foot on the accelerator, to continue getting these victories, and to show the world that just because we beat those 2 teams, we're not just going to relax and think, oh, now we're the best. We just beat Bayern and Madrid. We're not going to do anything else. Like, we're just going to, I don't have to run anymore. No, Barcelona needed to continue on that path, continue to stay motivated, stay focused, stay concentrated. Because as I mentioned in yesterday's video, Hansi Flick talked about the importance of that during his press conference. And he's 100% correct because, yes, we did beat Madrid. Yes, we did beat Bayern. But La Liga is not over. The season is not over. We haven't won anything. The season's still pretty long. And if we want to win anything, we have to continue on pushing. We have to stay focused. We have to stay concentrated. We have to stay motivated. And today was, a test to see whether the team can keep up that motivation and concentration. And while that's exactly what Barcelona did, taking home that victory 3-1 against Espanyol. And now Barcelona are sitting at the top of the table, 9 points ahead of Real Madrid. Now, of course, Real Madrid will not play its match because they were supposed to play against Valencia this weekend. And as you know, there's devastating flooding in Valencia. And as such, that match has been postponed. So, but nonetheless, Barcelona is still at the top of the Liga. And Barcelona continue to be relentless in their path to victory. Now, first half, absolutely great half by Barcelona. Barcelona were a steamroller. They completely dominate possession. They were creating great chances with their passing, with their combination, with Lamine Yamal's dribbling. Absolutely dominant and superior first half by Barcelona. And thanks to that total dominance, Barcelona were able to score 3 goals and pretty much close out the match in the first half. And then Barcelona went to the halftime. They came back, and for some reason or other, they completely took their foot off the accelerator. They weren't pressing. They weren't playing with as much intensity. They just stopped trying. They didn't look as sharp. They didn't look as motivated. And I think it has to do with the fact that they had already sealed the victory in the first half. We saw that kind of against Alaves, where Barcelona also won the match in the first half. So in the second half, they were more relaxed. And that's exactly what happened with the team. They came out a lot more relaxed. Hansi Flick was not happy whatsoever with that. You could see his frustration, you see his anger, because of course Flick always wants his teams to play with the same intensity from the first to the last minute, even if you're up 10-0, and that's not what the team did, being that the opponent was a much more inferior opponent. The match was much easier than previous matches, and since they had scored 3 goals, they took their foot off the accelerator and they paid for it, because came Espanyol's first goal during the second halftime. Thankfully, it was ruled offside. Then came the second goal, which became legal. And after that, Barcelona woke up. And then Barcelona were able to regain control of the match, even though they weren't really creating as much chances. They weren't really being dangerous. But nonetheless, they were able to take possession away from Espanyol. They were able to stop their build-up. And as such, Barcelona were able to close out the match at 3-1. But definitely a lesson to the team, or a cautious tale to the team, that you cannot just fall asleep just because you're ahead in the scoreline. You cannot just fall asleep during the second half, because had this been a more dangerous team, a team with more resources, a team with better players, they could have caused some damage. They could have maybe even tied us. So very important lesson for the team to keep their foot on accelerator, can maintain intensity. It's fine if you reduce it by a little bit, but not by as much as Barcelona did during the beginning of the second half. Now, another thing I noticed what was going on during the second halftime, and why Barcelona were struggling a little bit when the second half began, I think there was a big disconnect between Barcelona's first and second line of the press, meaning the defensive line and midline. There was a big disconnect there, and I think it had to do with because Barcelona took out Casado, and Casado had been very, very key in recovering the ball, and without Casado there, the ball recovery was not as good. And also, Barcelona brought in Frankie, and they brought in Fermin for Dani Olmo, 2 players that haven't really played with the team as much due to injuries. So I think there was still that lack of chemistry between the players, which is normal. When a player, is injured for a very long time, he's not playing with his teammates, you lose that chemistry, you lose that understanding, that chemistry that you develop through playtime. That's the only way you can develop that kind of chemistry. You can develop it in training, you can develop it in the classroom, you develop it in playtime. That's when you understand each other just by looking at each other. You understand your teammate's movement, what he's about to do, and therefore he understands you and what you're going to do, and therefore you communicate through just chemistry, just by knowing each other. And that's something obviously that Fermin and Frankie have not developed as much with the team. So because they haven't played as much with the team, so there was a lack of chemistry there. So there was a big disconnect between our midline and our defensive line, which did cost us, because whenever Barcelona lost possession of the ball, the midline were not as good in recovering that ball, which didn't give enough time to our defensive line to get back into formation, right? And that's how Espanyol were able to catch us during the third goal. That's how they were, the third goal they scored, but their only goal that counted. And that's how they also were able to catch us with their second goal, which was offside. But thankfully it was offside. It was by a millimeter, but it was offside. And it was that big disconnect between our defensive line and our midline, where the midline was not recovering the ball as fast as they were supposed to. That way, and it wasn't giving our defensive line enough time to, set up the offside trap and get back into position, because whenever Barcelona lost the ball, they were attacking, right? And when you're attacking, your defensive line has to retreat, has to get back into formation, has to get set up the offside trap again, and they weren't having enough time to do that, because there was, again, that disconnect between them and the midline. So when the offensive line would lose it, there was that disconnect, caused a lot of discomfort for our back line. But thankfully, eventually, Frankie de Jong and alongside Pedri, they were able to regain possession of the ball, regain control of the midline, and then thankfully they were regain control of the match. So that was my sensations in general. Great first half, absolutely steamrolling. Espanyol scoring 3 goals. Second half started out very slow, which cost us, but then Barcelona regained the control and were able to seal this victory. 3 more points, another victory, and we remain at the top of the table for 1 more week. Now let's look at the formation, and we'll talk a little bit about the player, but this is the formation that Hansi Flick elected for this match. As you can see, we have Iñaki Peña, of course, in the goal. We had Hector Fort replacing Jules Koundé. I was very happy to see that for 2 reasons. A, it was really nice to see Jules Koundé getting some rest, because he's probably the player that has accumulated the most minutes So it's good to see him get some rest, and it was nice to see Hector Fort getting some minutes, right? Pau Cubarsí and Inigo and as our two center backs, Balde on the left, Barca, Sado, and Pedri as our double pivot, Lamine Yamal, and then Dani Olmo getting his first start since coming back from injury. Rafinha, and of course, up front, Robert Lewandowski. Now, Iñaki Peña, not much work he had to do. Of course, he did get scored on, but not much to do as far as Espanyol's goal. He did have one good stop where he went one-on-one with the Espanyol attacker. I think that was a pretty good start. So overall, an okay performance by Iñaki Peña, who didn't have much work. As far as Iñigo and Pau Cubarsí, as always, very, very solid defensively. Iñigo Martinez was brilliant in his one-on-ones against Espanyol attackers, just completely stopping them. He even had several times where he had to cover for Balde because Balde was way too up because, again, the midfield was not recovering balls fast enough, so it was constantly catching Balde out of position. Iñigo was even able to cover for him, so kind of covering two spots. Absolutely another solid defensively match for Iñigo. Pau Cubarsí, with his reading of the field, I think is just out of this world. And the two of them, again, being responsible for that offside trap, which worked wonders. Espanyol had 2 goals ruled out. I think I gotta do a tally of all the goals that have been ruled offsides thanks to our highly effective offside trap. Hector Fort, I really like what I saw from him. He was good defensively. He was also good pushing forward. Now, his combinations with Lamine Yamal were not as good as Koundé's and Lamine Yamal, but that's natural. Again, that goes back to the same point that I was talking about why there was that disconnect between our midline and our backline, because Hector Fort hasn't played with the team, so he hasn't developed that chemistry, and therefore his combination with Lamine Yamal were not as accurate, not as good as Koundé's, but nonetheless, really, really good minutes by Hector Fort. And again, glad he got the minutes, and I'm glad that Koundé got some rest. Now, Marc Casado, another superb match and another masterclass by Marc Casado. This guy is just relentless. He is unstoppable. He hasn't had a single bad match. All players have bad matches. It's normal. It's natural. Marc Casado, we are, 12 matches in La Liga, 3 matches in the Champions League, and he hasn't had a single bad match, a single bad minute. The definition of the warrior. He was the guy who was consistently getting the ball back. Every time Barcelona lost the ball, Casado would immediately recover it, and he was fighting players that were much, much bigger and much stronger than him. But every time Barcelona lost the ball, boom, there was Marc Casado to get it back and then help Barcelona to once again start attacking again in Espanyol's final third. And then what a brilliant assist that he had to, is it to Rafinha or to Olmo? No, it was to Rafinha. Brilliant assist. Again, Marc Casado, masterclass. I think he's been my favorite player this season, the biggest breakthrough. I'm very, very happy that we have him on the team. And then Pedri, right? The engine on the ball. Once again, a great match by Pedri, especially during the first half. Again, during the second half, we weren't really that good on the attack. But sensational match by Pedri, dictating the tempo of the game. Very accurate with his ball distribution and very great on combining with his teammates. Not surprising. And then the MVP of the match for me, Dani Olmo, who every match he shows us what a great of an asset he is to this Barcelona side. And I'm actually was one of the people who doubted this signing because I always said, like, do we really need Dani Olmo? Do we need to spend 60 million on Dani Olmo? We have Fermin, we have Gundogan, because at the time we still had Gundogan. We have Pedri, and I was like, why are we wasting money? Completely shut me up, completely proved me wrong, because Dani Olmo, every time he steps on the field, he shows us that he is one hell of an asset to Barcelona side. A double. That's 5 goals in 5 matches. He's only played 5 matches and he already has 5 goals. Absolutely brilliant, brilliant match by Dani Olmo. Opened up the scoring and closed it, I guess you could say, because he scored the first and the third goal. And then he was just creating havoc, just absolutely creating havoc. Every touch he had, he created space with that touch. He was absolutely flawless on the ball. And his movements in the box just created chaos for Espanyol's defense. They did not know how to respond to his movement. They did not know how to mark him. And again, his ball distribution, his passing, how flawless he is on the ball. great match by Dani Olmo, a double. It would have been nice to see him score a hat-trick, but let's not get greedy here. Of course, he was subbed out at the 55th minute, which is understandable. He just came back from injury. We have to reincorporate him slowly. He came in during the second half during Real Madrid, and now he starts. He does 55 to 60 minutes, and slowly, eventually, he will be able to play 90 minutes. I think that's very smart to reincorporate him slowly, because the last thing we want is for him to get re-injured. And then Lamine Yamal. I mean, Lamine Yamal's dribbling is just out of this world, and he's a special player. Every time you see him touch the ball, you just know this kid is special. He is just special. He is one of those very few players that can do the things that he does in the world, and he's just special. At this point, what is it, 2, maybe 3 months into the season, I'm running out of adjective to describe Lamine Yamal, because this kid is just out of this world, and he's just special. That's all I have to say. I can't say more. There aren't enough words in the dictionary to describe what Lamine Yamal does, and today we saw a lot of it. Again, during the first half, second half, completely different story. Rafinha scored a brilliant goal. By the way, it's pretty cool how Mbappe just keeps telling Rafinha how to score. Remember this celebration of Mbappe? He just keeps telling Rafinha how to score, because, again, Rafinha with another rainbow goal. So, thank you, Mbappe. You're a pretty outstanding guy. It looks like you care a lot about Rafinha, and you're always telling him how to score. So thank you for that. And then Lewandowski, he had a pretty quiet match. He had 2 interesting shots from outside the box. You don't usually see Lewandowski making those shots out of the box. You usually see him scoring from the box, inside the box. So it's really nice to see Lewandowski trying something new, but it wasn't his night. It's okay. No, you can't. Not every night can be your night. And now we just look forward to the Champions League game, because we will be playing against Red Star. Very, very hostile stadium, but hopefully we pull away the victory. So another victory, 3 points, another thrashing, and we remain at the top of La Liga table. Now let's do some comments, and then we will end this live stream, and then I'm gonna go take a nap because I'm exhausted. I've slept 2 hours. 2 hours. I got home way too late. Jacob says, or way too early, I guess. Second half reminded me of shabby ball. No, I wouldn't say shabby ball at all. Not even close. It wasn't a good, I'm not defending what the team did during the second half. It wasn't a good second half at all. There was, especially the first part of the second half, where the team just completely took their foot off the accelerator. They lost their intensity. They weren't recovering the ball as fast. Every time they lost it, it was just like, oh, here comes Espanyol with a counter attack. And again, that disconnect between the back line and the midline, it was just causing a lot of headaches for the back line, because they didn't have enough time to get back into position whenever Barcelona lost the ball. But I wouldn't even dare to compare it to shabby ball. I mean, shabby ball was Espanyol today, pretty much. That was shabby ball. AD says, great energetic first half, sloppy tired second half. Marc Casado, my man of the match. Not only was he fantastic at keeping and winning the ball back, but his through balls for Rafinha goal was superb. Absolutely agree. Except for the man of the match, I think I have to just agree with who was giving it to, which is Dani Olmo. But yeah, superb match by Casado, but with almost 2 goals. I think we have to give it to him. And Olmo was great too, right? And the 2 of them came out at the same time. So I would give it to Olmo, but only by like a sliver, right? Because Casado was superb once again. Mark says, I understand taking a foot off gas in the second half, but that was just bad. Flick is going to go off on them. I agree with you. Again, if you are winning by a big margin and you feel like the match, that's it, is wrapped up, it's fine to take your foot a little bit off the accelerator. That's fine. But this wasn't taking the foot off the accelerator. This was like really putting the car in neutral and just like, you know what I mean? It was really bad. It was really bad. And you could see how angry Hansi Flick was. And I'm sure they're going to hear it from him. I mean, they're already hearing it from him on the field. You can see him yelling at the players. You can see him, just getting so pissed, even though the team was winning. But that's the kind of guy Hansi Flick is. He's a winner through and through. He doesn't care if you're up 3-0 or 10-0. He wants you to continue playing and pushing, because that's how you win, right? You cannot just fall asleep, because you never know. Look at Dortmund. They were up 2-0. They fell asleep, and then Madrid scored 5. Now, of course, this is Espanyol. Espanyol are not going to go and score 5 against us and finish the match 3-5. But against another opponent, it's a possibility. So that's why you cannot be falling asleep like that. And I really hope that this is a lesson to the team, a cautionary tale that, hey, it's fine if you slow down a little bit because you have a big margin, but this was not slowing down. This was straight up putting the car on park and just let it roll downhill. AD says, Hector Fort was my worst player on the pitch today. No, absolutely not. Hector Fort had really, really good minutes. Let's see. Sunil says, hi, Mo. I'm Sunil from Mumbai, India. Nice to listen to you. All the best. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. And I see Daniel says, hi, Mo. This is my first time live on your podcast. Welcome. Welcome to the podcast. And thank you for your comment. And I hope to see you more often. Street Fighter says, well, happy to see Danny Olmo score. He had 5 goals in 5 matches. Now we are 9 points clear on top. I look forward to the Champions League. I look forward to it too. Again, another busy week. You know, we have Espanyol. We have Red Star on Wednesday. And I think the Real Sociedad following weekend. So 3 matches in 1 week. I mean, it's great for us fans because we get to watch more and more football. But another like, what the fuck are you doing, FIFA and UEFA and another busy week, and then right after it, FIFA international break. I mean, absolutely insanity. But hey, more football for us, I guess. John says, Mo, is there any news or rumors about the December 22nd game against Atletico Madrid, Miami? A big shout out to all my fellow culés from Boston via Warsaw, Poland. Bizka Barca. There is no news yet. La Liga is still trying to move the match from Barcelona to Miami. They have requested permission from the Royal Spanish Football Federation because you cannot just move the match. You need permission of the Royal Spanish Football Federation. They haven't given a decision yet, and so we'll have to wait and see, right? There is obviously a lot of opposition to this from the fans because, you know, if you are a club member and you have season tickets to Montjuic, and then they tell you that one of the biggest matches of the season, because I mean, the 2 biggest matches of the season every season, it's Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid, right? And they're telling you one of the biggest matches is just not going to be played at the stadium and you have season tickets. Obviously, that's going to be very upsetting for you. There's also opposition to it because, you know, you are dragging the team halfway across the globe. That's exhausting. The flight is exhausting. Adjusting to the time difference is exhausting. And then flying back again just to get readjusted again to the time zone. It's pretty exhausting for the players. Now, as far as that, there is, I guess, a counter argument to that it is the final day before the winter break. So after that, the players will get, what is it, like a week and a half or 2 off. Actually, no, it'll probably just be like 10 days because there's the Spanish Super Cup right at the beginning of January. So I guess there is the argument that they do get to rest. They don't have any more games until January. But I don't know. Barcelona supposedly will make 6 to 7 million if the game is moved. So there are pros and cons to each of it. Me as an American, I guess I'm biased. I would love to see the match here, but I think the fair thing would be to leave it in Spain because, I mean, that's where La Liga is. Again, fans have tickets, season tickets. It's not fair to them to then take away one of the biggest matches and be like, sorry, you're not going to see it. The traveling involved, etc. I think, objectively speaking, it should stay in Spain. Subjectively speaking, I would love to see it in Miami. All right, Triple X says, Balde isn't good enough at all. Yeah, no. Mike Valencia says, if Araujo came back in better form, better than Cubarsí or Martinez, hypothetically, who would you replace? I mean, depends, right? If Araujo comes back better, who is he better than? Is he better than Pau? Can he take his spot? Is he better than Inigo? Can he take his spot? Right, and then you have to compare the 3 of them to each other, right? Like who's the best, who's the second best, who's the third best. So if Araujo is the best and Cubarsí second, then it will be Araujo Cubarsí. If Araujo's number 1 and Inigo's number 2, then you put Araujo and Inigo, right? It just depends how are they performing in comparison to each other. Which, by the way, I have to mention this: comparing, essential part of not just football but the sport as a whole. And I bring this up because people are like, oh, Mo, stop comparing Xavi to Flick. Oh, Mo, stop comparing this. And I'm like, What are you talking about? That's literally what this sport is about. It's about comparing players to each other, comparing coaches to each other, comparing teams to each other. The whole sport is based on comparison. You know, you have Lamine Yamal, you have Ferran, you have Rafinha. How do you decide who starts on the right? By comparing the three of them against each other and deciding that Lamine fits best. Okay, left wing, we have Rafinha, we have Ferran, we have Ansu. How do you decide who starts? By comparing all three players to each other and deciding that Rafinha is the best. Literally, the whole sport is based on comparison. So, and this is not directed to you, Mike, but directed to other people who are like, Mo, stop comparing. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, seriously, sometimes the things I read, I'm like, how? How did you come up with this? But like I said, it will be just comparing the three of them against each other and see who are the best two and pick the best two. All right, let's see. What else? Raj says, hey, Mo, I'm Raj from India. Great to see you. Great to see you too, my friend. And thank you for joining and for your comment. Trini Barca fan says, happy for the win. Happy for the double from Olmo. And another one from Gotinha. I really, really wish that one from Fatih stood. Would love to see him shine again. That second half, though, cringe. Thank you for bringing that up, by the way. I forgot. I completely forgot I was going to mention it. But yes, that goal from Ansu Fati when the flag went up, and I was like, no. Not because I wanted a fourth goal. I mean, the match was over. It was a victory. But I think that goal would have gone a long, long way in boosting Ansu Fati's confidence. You know, and this is not just opinion. This is, you know, has been shown psychologically when attackers go on a long drought without scoring. Usually once they score that one goal, that's it. The pressure is lifted, right? Because when you go a few matches without scoring, for whatever the reason is, you had bad luck, maybe you had a few bad matches, and then it just, the pressure starts accumulating and you start getting in your own head. And because you're thinking so much and, oh, I haven't scored, then your performance gets worse, and then you don't score for even longer, which then causes you to worry even more, which then causes you to even miss more, right? And it's just a downward spiral. The longer you go, the worse, the more the pressure mounts, the more you go longer, right? And usually when the striker hits it finally, whether it's a penalty or just a tap in, whatever, that usually just lifts the pressure and then they start scoring again, right? So when I saw Ansu score, I was like, yes, this is going to help his confidence. The flag came up and I was like, no, crap. But who knows? Maybe still being able to score it, maybe that will boost it a little bit, because at the end of the day, he still read the play. He still made the run. He still controlled the ball. He still scored it. It didn't count, but he still did all the right steps, right, except for that little offside. So maybe that still will boost his confidence a little bit. I don't know. I hope so, because I think if Flick says that Ansu is 100% physically, then all I can think about is that it's probably mentally, and it's mental what's stopping him. Because we all know he's skilled. We all see what Ansu Fati can do. And if he's 100% physical, so it's not, you know, his form, then it has to be mental. And I think that goal would have gone a long, long way in helping Ansu overcome that. Louis said, hi, Mo, Luis from South Africa. First time joining your live podcast. I always watch your videos. Thank you always for keeping us posted. No, thank you, my friend, for watching and for your comment. And then AD says, no, I totally disagree with you, Mo, about Hector Ford performance today. I like yourself, was happy and glad that he got playing full match. No, Ford had a really good match. He was good defensively. He was good with the build-up. He didn't combine as well with his teammates. That's normal. He's not playing. He doesn't have chemistry. But to say that his performance is bad, no, absolutely not. Eddie says, Casado is something else. He is so good. He is. Every match by Casado is an absolute masterclass in the midfield. Anyways, that is all, ladies and gentlemen. Another victory, 3 more points. We're still at the top of La Liga. This Barcelona is absolutely relentless. After an incredible week beating Madrid, Bayern, and even Sevilla. We forget about Sevilla. It was a 5-1 thrashing. Barcelona do not take their foot off the accelerator. They continue accumulating victories, continue leaving victims in their path of destruction. And now on to the next one, which is the Champions League match against Red Star during the midweek. So happy day. Again, not a great second half, but Barcelona were able to get the result that we needed during the first half. And hopefully this will be a cautionary tale for the team not to fall as much asleep during second half times, even if the score line is favorable to them. Anyways, this is all for the post-match live analysis. I will be doing a news video later today. I got to go take a nap. I'm exhausted. I only slept 2 hours last night. So I will see you guys in that video. And as always, be